What's going on, y'all? It's about that time. Let's get it.
Coming to you live from the Motor City of Detroit, this is Get Off My Lawn Live with your host, Eric Buckner. Brought to you by the Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network. Our voices for our people.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy E. Beezy in the building. Eric Buckner's in the house, and it is time for my show, Get Off My Lawn Live. Coming to you live and direct from our beautiful city here in Detroit, Michigan, where it is cold and about to get colder, much colder. Tonight they're talking about -3, and that's without the wind chill. That is not a good do. In other news, however, in some spots of the country, y'all dealing with it just as bad or worse. Do you know today it was actually warmer here than it was in Dallas, Texas, and places even further down in Texas? Y'all catching it real bad. Y'all learning what winter is really like around these parts down there this year, and it's not going well. You got millions of people without power down there. You are in our prayers, absolutely. Because people like me that live in places like this, we definitely do understand the problems that you're going. And they got other storms coming this way and out there towards the north, towards New York and Baltimore and Philly. So be prepared, y'all. Y'all might want to stock up and get situated because it's going to get a little ugly for a minute the rest of the week. So keep that in mind. At any rate, folks, for those of you who are here, I thank you. I thank you very much for joining the show here this evening. Hopefully, everything is going well where you are in your part of the world outside of the weather. I sincerely hope so. I am here to do the show once again. Hopefully, it's a good show that will inform you and entertain you and keep everything in good perspective, which is well. I do intend to do that at least. For those of you who are tuning in, by all means, if you have anything that you want to comment on during the show, I strongly encourage you to join us in the comments and we will address them as we have time in the process of us discussing. Because that's what we do here. This is an interactive show between myself and you guys. So I definitely want to hear your opinions and your comments. By all means, chime in and let me know what's going on. Also, I'm asking this evening that if you are chiming in here in the comments, let us know where you're chiming in from. I want to get a better understanding of where our people here in the Nighthawk Network are located right now. Because one, I want to know from my own personal self, and two, I want the people here in the network to know as well what's going on with them, you know? So when you chime in, let us know where you're chiming in from. So if you're out there in Baltimore, Texas, or California, or Missouri, or some of those other places where the Nighthawk Network is carried, let people know where you're calling in from, because that's going to come into play in some of these topics as we discuss them later on anyway. So that being said, let's talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. Of course, as always, we're going to get into that thing that I like to call the trending topics of the day and talk about what's going on out here in the world as we know as America, and in some cases the world, depending on what the topic is. We're going to get into that, of course. Also this evening, I plan on discussing the new CDC guidelines for reopening schools. Remember last week when we had that discussion about schools and how we can reopen them safely? Well, this Friday, as in last Friday, they came out with new guidelines for reopening schools. So I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. We definitely also want to talk about the COVID relief that President Biden, who's actually going to have a town hall at 9 p.m. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss it live, but I am going to catch it on the reboot to see what he had to say about it all. And we're going to get into that a little bit. But the main topic tonight is going to be the rules of re-engagement after COVID. Because keep in mind, numbers are down and things are looking like they're on the downswing, and we're going to have to start considering what happens when COVID-19 has become more controllable and we can start to re-engage society. It's not going to be just as simple as turning that switch and then everything starts back up. If you're thinking that, I got some things for you to consider before you go there. So yeah, we're going to have that discussion. And also we're going to have a little fun this evening. We're going to talk about what music video would you redo if you could redo any video that's ever been made. What music video would you redo if you could redo any video? Keep in mind that we're talking about the back in the day videos as opposed to now, where the technology is way different than it was 30 years ago. So have that in mind when we get to that subject. Anyway, okay, we got a comment. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, chiming in from Atlanta, Uncle Buck. That's what's up. Hey, what's going on? That's my peoples, y'all. We got Young P in the house. Good to hear from you. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for chiming in. Much love, much love. So at any rate, folks, that's what we're going to talk about tonight here on the show. Get off my lawn live. We're going to hit a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to jump on into it. So in the meanwhile, if you need to get settled right quick or want to share the show and chime in with the folks that you know watch the show, send out the Nighthawk signal to people. Let them know that we are on the air and we're ready to do these things. Another quick comment before I hit that. Hey, what's going on? Miss Red is in the house. Let us know where you're chiming in from, Miss Red. We're doing a roll call this evening. Need to know where my peoples is at and where they're chiming in from. So that being said, I'm about to hit this commercial break, and we're going to be right on back with the show. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your boy E. Beasy, and I'm ready to talk to y'all after these words from our fine people here in the Nighthawk Network. Let's do this, y'all.
Gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher.
Hey, what up, though? E. Beasy back in the building, y'all. We got Get Off My Lawn Live jumping off in here. Tonight, we are going to have some discussions with the peoples, and we're asking this evening if you're checking on in. Let us know where you're checking in from. We want the right people in the Nighthawk Network to represent and let us know what town, or city, or state, or even country you're coming in at. So that being said, let's get to the comments right quick before I move forward. That's right. Miss Red says she's checking in from the ATL, shawty. That's what's up. What's going on, Ezra? Ezra's in the house. We got Aunt Nikki in the building. What's going on? That fine young lady you seen with the Aunt Nikki, that was her. That's her right there. Miss Nicole Mayo Corsi. Good evening, ma'am. Hey, Aunt Nikki. Ezra saying what up to Aunt Nikki. Appreciate it. Everybody say hello to everybody else. We always love that here at the show and on the network in general. So that being said, y'all, we about to get into the show here. Let's start us off this week as we do every time this week with trending topics. And of course, to start off the trending topics, we will do our usual COVID update. Now, as you know, this week overall, and actually this month overall, COVID numbers are down. They are down not only here in the United States and here in my state of Michigan, but down overall, which is a good thing. That means that slowly but surely we're starting to get somewhat of a handle on this thing, which is also good. Overall, we have 109 million cases worldwide of people having positive for COVID at some point in time within the last year. Keep in mind, it's almost been a year now. Actually, in some places, it's been a little over a year since COVID-19 has started. So we got that going. Of course, unfortunately, 2.4 million people have died from the coronavirus in that time. 2.4 million people. That is a couple medium-sized cities, a nice big city. Basically, that's Detroit times 3, okay? That's a lot of people gone from COVID. And keep in mind, these numbers, though some people will tell you they are less, I do believe them to be not sufficient. In other words, I think more people have died from this virus than what's being reported overall. Because you know how some countries deal with this. They try to make it like it's not that big a deal or it's not happening at all, and that's not the case in that country. Okay, quick comment before I move forward. Hey, Aunt Nikki. Hey, boo. Thanks for your support. I love you. So that being said, here in the United States, we have had 27.9 million people test positive for the coronavirus. But keep in mind, those numbers are down considerably, especially in the last few weeks. Because, of course, you know, we had the little spike because of the holidays for Christmas and New Year's, but it seems like that spike is going down. Hospitalizations are down 30% nationwide, which is good. And some of the harder hit areas where COVID has hit us up, they are going down significantly, like your Californias and your Texases and even your Floridas. So that's all good signs overall. Part of that is due to what's going to happen now and in the near future, which is people getting vaccinated. We're not showing any great numbers in regards to how that's affecting COVID, but overall, keep in mind we've had over 12 million people now be fully vaccinated. In other words, they've had both shots of either the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccine, and after the 7 to 10 day period beyond that, they are now considered fully vaccinated for coronavirus. Also, keep in mind, folks, that we have a third vaccine on the come up. That is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that has now been submitted for approval. That approval is scheduled to happen sometime within the next week or so that we'll have 3 vaccines to work with in terms of getting people vaccinated. Remember, the key thing about this Johnson & Johnson vaccine is the fact that although it's not as effective as the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccine in terms of efficacy, remember, those two have 90 to 95% efficacy. This Johnson & Johnson actually has a 66% efficacy overall and a 72% efficacy among the people they tested here in the United States. But outside of those two companies, Pfizer and Moderna, Johnson & Johnson's vaccine has been tested more worldwide than these 2 previous ones. And also it's been tested for a lot of the variants, such as the South African strain and the UK strain that's out there. So it's shown to be effective with that, and particularly with people who have it and them not dying. So from the test they've done, they've shown that all people that have actually had the vaccine, there has been no deaths or no hospitalizations among those people who have had this Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is good. They're also reporting that they've had an extremely small amount of any type of complications outside of the usual side effects, which would be the aching of the arm and slight fever, things of that nature. That usually shows that the vaccine is working to some degree. They've had very few, so there have been no reports of the Bell's palsy that happened with the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines for some people. that we've had no indications of that with this Johnson & Johnson one. So even though it's not quite as effective as these other two in terms of you not getting the virus overall, it does appear to be very effective in terms of you getting severe cases of the virus to where you have to be hospitalized or you may pass because of it. Okay, jumping in right quick. Hey, what's going on? Big Red is in the building. Appreciate you, bruh. Got a lot of people checking in from Atlanta and Georgia this evening. Anybody else out there? Let us know where you're checking in at from here in the Nighthawk Network. We want to know where you're coming from so we can talk to you direct, okay? So as you chime on in, let us know where you're coming from. We appreciate you. I see my girl P is in the house. What's going on, P? So we got some Detroit love up in here. Appreciate that. Before we move on, let me say that going back to this Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the thing is right now, the difference and the major difference, mind you, between this Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the other two is one, it does not have to be kept at extremely cold temperatures. It can be kept at room temperature, which is very key because in terms of keeping these vaccines somewhere where they will stay properly usable, if we have a vaccine where you could keep it at room temperature, so you could keep it in basic places where you would keep normal vaccines, that changes a lot. Also, keep in mind this Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a one-shot vaccine, as opposed to the other ones where you have to get the first shot and then the booster shot afterwards. This Johnson & Johnson is basically the one-hitter quitter. You get the one shot, and there it is. So hopefully, between these three vaccines, and then of course we got the AstraZeneca vaccine that's been approved overseas, and they will be submitting their paperwork soon also, so that they'll give us a fourth option. Between all these different vaccines, hopefully we can get to a point where we can start getting these things out. Now, a couple of problems we've had this week in terms of people getting vaccinated is the fact that the weather here in America has been kind of wacky these last few days, and not the normal wacky, like extra wacky. We got half of Texas covered in snow right now. That never happens, okay? We got places where it snowed in Texas where they hadn't had sufficient snowfall in 50 to 75 years even. We got places where they've had record snowfall in Texas. 4 and 5 inches to them might as well be 20 or 30 to us, because they don't deal with snow that much, and particularly snow that has that type of amount where it's causing those type of power outages and things of that nature. The massive accidents that we've seen, that's putting them in very bad situations. So of course that's also leading to them not dealing with things properly in terms of getting the vaccines pushed out. Because of course, if you got road pileups and snow and places that are shut down because of electricity and whatnot, that of course changes the schedule in terms of what places can be open to get people vaccine and get them the shots in the arms, basically. One of the bigger places where they are doing vaccines is at Dodger Stadium out in LA, and because of weather considerations and other factors, which is also saying that they're not giving them enough vaccine. They're promising a certain amount of vaccines to these places, and they're not getting nearly enough of what they were promised for whatever reason. That is also causing a problem in the vaccine chain to where it's not happening as quickly as they had initially thought that it would. Now, of course, whose fault it is, I say you can blame a little bit of everybody. Of course, you can blame the former administration for how it was set up to begin with, where it seems like outside of saying that there was a plan, there was no real plan. You can blame the current administration because they come up with a plan, but it's not quite sufficient so far. You can blame the states involved because some states, they have vaccine, but they haven't passed them out to the proper places. Other states don't have enough vaccines, and they send them to places where they don't necessarily need as much, as opposed to giving them to the places where they need more. So there's a lot of confusion still with the implementation of the vaccines, but in the end, they are working toward getting it to a point to where we can start looking at it from terms of, okay, we have a certain amount of people vaccinated now. Now we can look into what to do in terms of reopening society, of which we'll talk about later on in the show. Also keep in mind, folks, that because they're still not to the point where the major part of the population, as in the general pop, as I call it, can be vaccinated, there's that concern also. Dr. Fauci went on a couple shows today and yesterday and basically discussed that initially they thought that the general population would have access to the vaccine sometime in March, maybe early April. Now he's saying based on the numbers he's seeing of late, it's looking more like toward June or July before the majority of the people that would be eligible to get the vaccine at that point would go ahead and get the vaccine. And then, of course, there's still the distrust of the vaccine and all that. We've had those discussions. We know what that entails. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think most of us that's considering or maybe not considering whether or not we'll take the vaccine, we're kind of waiting to see how other people are dealing with it and some of the shortfalls and all that happens before we make any decision at that time. Not to mention, we're also trying to see if certain people will make it to where the implementation of vaccine becomes mandatory for working at their place or being a part of the society in general, what have you. So we have all those things to think about later on down the line. But so far, things are going slow, but they are going. So we have that. Anyway, let's look at some of these comments. Okay. Will Muhammad's in the building. It's about time. Not quite sure what it's about time for, but I hear you. Detroit is in the building. Will Muhammad is here in Detroit. So we got some Detroit going on. We got some Atlanta in the house. Anybody else checking in? Let us know where you are and where you're checking in from. We want to know the people in the Nighthawk Network and where you're checking in from. So we asking that this evening. We got my boy Pride tuning in. So yep, Detroit very much in the house as it should be. There's been a Detroit-based show and all. But anyway, that is that for the vaccine. Now let's talk about that debacle that was the impeachment trial. People. Let's be honest. We knew before the trial even started how this thing was going to turn out. They basically let us know in the precursor where they said that 45 of the 50 Republican senators said it was unconstitutional. If they felt like that from the get-go, there was going to be no changing of the minds in that. So truthfully, though the trial lasted less than a week, it truly was a waste of time. Let's be honest. Okay, Israel saying, I still not want to take the vaccine. And of course, every week when we had this discussion, people would chime in with that, and we understand that. And some people, they just gonna look at it like that. It don't matter what you tell them. It don't matter if you offer them money, the world, new stocks, any of that. There is no talking them into it, and we understand that. I get it. Hey, yo, stopping in for a spell. I'm on the clock. Yay, Princess Leia in the house. Where you checking in from, Leia? Where you checking from, Israel? Let people know where you coming from. You're trying to let people know the Nighthawk Network is out here, and it's all over the place. I want people to see from you guys where you're checking in from. So please let us know where you're checking in from as we had these discussions this evening. Miss Pat is in the house, and H2 also in the house, my associate producer for the show. What's going on? I know they are checking in from the lovely city of Baltimore. So we got some Baltimore in the building. Everybody saying hi to everybody else. Appreciate that always. So, yep. Anyway, like I said, this impeachment trial, folks, was a waste of time. It really was. It was a waste of taxpayer dollars. They knew that no matter what they showed in regards to him and whether or not his words started to riot, it was not going to go a certain way. They had already prejudged this whole trial, okay? Now, in the end, I was actually surprised that 7 Republican senators thought that he should be guilty. That actually shocked me. And of course, now, because they said that, they are catching all types of hell from the Republican Party in regards to going there. And that is sad. That is really sad. That, you know, it's bad enough we got division between the whole Democrat-Republican thing anyway. But on top of all that now, we got the division within the parties themselves in regards to how they should move and who should be in charge, whether the orange one should be still the leader of the party or if the Republican Party should go in a different direction. Okay, we still got people checking in here. What it do? Everybody saying hello to everybody else. Appreciate it. Remember, y'all, let us know where you're checking in from. That's Pat saying she's checking in from Baltimore City. H2 is checking in. Tracy's in the house. What's up, Tracy? What's going on, bro? Need to holler at you. I'm going to holler at you Thursday, all right? We ain't talked in a minute. Miss you, guy. And let us know where you're checking in from, Tracy, by the way. Let people know where we're checking in from. I see some of y'all here, y'all watching in the comments, but not commenting. It's okay. I can kind of identify some of y'all. We got Chief Devlin in the house. What's going on, Chief? We know he's checking in from down there in Hewitt, Texas. We got Author Angela Anderson in the house. What's going on? Let us know where you're checking in from, please. I appreciate it. Everybody, of course, still saying hello to everybody else in the Nighthawk Network as we do. Much appreciated. So anyway, going back to this trial, folks, in the end, we know that he's not going away, man. He refuses to go away. He loved the limelight when he was in charge. He still loves the limelight to a degree now. He's already been hinting that he's going to do something in terms of some type of big reveal, whether he's going to run for president again, as we all assume he's going to do, or have some type of major play in who gets elected and reelected in 2022 in terms of the House and the Senate. All that is out there on the table, okay? Again, everybody's still saying hi to everybody else. All good, all good. Remember, folks, check in. Let us know where you're coming in from the show. We need to know that, okay? So that being said, now, of course, because it didn't go down the way that people wanted it to go down, there's a lawsuit. There is a civil lawsuit against the former president. It was filed sometime today or yesterday, I believe. And one of the things they're citing is this act called the Ku Klux Klan Act. The Ku Klux Klan Act is an act that's over 150 something years old. Now, I went to look at it to try to explain to you guys what that act has to do with this particular lawsuit. The act itself is kind of confusing when you read it, so I can't really break it down, but basically, in essence, it's saying they had certain protections because of that act, and it was violated by the insurrection that took place with the Capitol, and because they cite the former president as the person that made that happen, that is why he is named in the suit, along also with members of the Pride Boys and some of those other organizations that were part of that ugly incident. So yes, and Rudy Giuliani also. Thank you, Miss Pat. He is named in that suit as well. We all knew that was going to happen. In terms of the trial being crap, true that. All right, so yes, we got Big Meech checking in as well from the Donut Factory. Big Meech is in the building. Here's the tea. This now has become about party politics and not ethics. So very true. So very true. Republicans have made this into a bunch of BS, and they have made it possible for him to run yet again. He has been inciting treasonous acts and fueling those who are enemies of the country. Absolutely, and we all know it. Some of us, I feel, are in denial and refuse to see it for what it is. But like I said, I saw a good part of that impeachment trial. I saw the videos they showed. In my mind, he was guilty based on the evidence that I saw. Yeah, I know. I should be like, yeah, well, why didn't you go into it open-minded? They didn't. Some of them, the reports you were getting during the trial, some of them were sitting there doodling, reading. Keep in mind, there's not supposed to be any electronics in that part of the Senate. But yet you could see some of them looking down, looking at something that was probably electronic and doing all type of things that was anything but the trial itself. At certain times of the trial, some of the Republicans weren't even sitting there. What child do you know where you, as one of the jury members, can just go out and chill for a little while and just pop in and out of the trial when you see fit? If you're taking it seriously, or if it's a serious trial. It was doomed to fail from the beginning. Bottom line is now we got to deal with all this, and of course, if this lawsuit don't go through, there'll probably be others. He's not gonna go away. I really wish he would. I'm tired. I'm ready to move on. And clearly the president, our current president, President Biden, is ready to move on himself. He is ready to move on and present to us that COVID relief package. So let's get into that for a minute. Right now, in a few minutes, he'll be talking to some of the residents of Wisconsin in a town hall meeting designed to discuss the package and some of the good and bad of it. Like I said, I'm taping that. I will watch it. But for those of you who want to pop in and out and go check that out, it is on CNN at 9 o'clock, town hall meeting, where he discusses with Wisconsin. He is scheduled to be here in Michigan tomorrow to check out the Moderna plant, I believe it is, out there in Portage, Michigan, to kind of get a first-hand view of what's going on there. Hello, Demetrius. It shows we still have a lot of racism still going on, and it's so sad. True and true. Remember, folks, as y'all chiming into the show, let us know where you're checking in from. I want people to see where people in the Nighthawk Network are at and where they're checking in from, so we can address you properly, okay? So let us know, all right? So anyway, like I said, back to the COVID plan. As you know now, it's on the fast track. In other words, they tried to get bipartisan for this bill and work with the Republicans in regards to doing it. They sat down with the Republicans. They came with a much smaller bill that ignored a lot of what was going on in the original bill. And Biden, after discussing with them, chose not to have them involved. So basically, because the Democrats have the majority in the House and in the Senate, they have chosen to move forward without their input. So at this point, it has gone through the rigmaroles of the House and Senate, the initial. They are now fine tuning the bill. It is said that sometime next week, the House will perform the task of presenting their part of the bill and passing it, and the Senate in return will take a few days to view it over and come up with their part. They'll put the two parts together and then have a final vote and present it to the president. And if everything works out correctly by the end of this month and very early next month, that will be signed into law in some form similar to what it is now. One of the major points that they want to take out of the bill, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago on the show, is that $15 an hour for all workers. Couple key things that I found out about that is, one, if that is to be implemented, it's not going to be implemented in the way in which I thought. In other words, I thought the $15 an hour would start immediately. In other words, all places that weren't were going to start being $15. No, it's going to be in increments so that it basically initiates part and then builds up to that $15 an hour over a couple of years' time. And of course, they're making some considerations for those smaller companies that can't just out the gate pay $15 an hour. Remember, we're in the middle of COVID, and a lot of those companies are either barely open or not open at all. And so you're asking them to, when they reopen, start out by paying employees, in some cases, double what they were making, understanding that they're operating from a loss to begin with. That's not going to work. So with that understanding, they're making tweaks to the bill in regards to that. And there is a possibility that that $15 an hour pay increase will not be part of this particular bill and will have to be worked on later on down the line. Okay. Everybody still saying hey to everybody else. That's what I'm interested in. That COVID relief package coming from Detroit. Yeah, and then there's that, because let me get into that in a second. Good point there, Pride. Yep, Baltimore, Maryland checking in the house. That's what's up. Hey. Yes, it's going to be phased in. That is correct, H2. So, okay, here's the thing, folks. Now, some of these places have gotten money from the previous relief package. Remember the one that got signed in December? And they still have not implemented those funds to what they are supposed to be for. For example, here in Michigan, there's over $1 billion+ that's supposed to be implemented to the school system so they can start to work on opening things correctly and safely. And that money has not been properly appropriated by the state Senate and the governor. Keep in mind, the governor is blaming them. They are blaming her. It's back and forth again. Party politics. The party politics is killing us right now, folks. It's making it hard to deal with a situation that's already hard to deal with. When you got places where, because there's different parties running things, in other words, you may have a governor that is a Democrat, but a state Senate that's a Republican, or vice versa, all this back and forth infighting, because in the end, that party wants to claim credit for fixing what's broke. That is part of why we're having so much confusion. Here in Detroit, there are certain funds that have not been properly appropriated because between the mayor and the city council, there are some concerns and disconnects. These things have to be resolved as soon as possible so we can start to engage. And part of what we need to do to engage is take those funds and use them what they were meant to be used for, with all this backbiting and fighting. Okay, Meech is checking in here. Open-minded, how? If this does not fuel folks to vote, nothing will. Say that, Meech. But remember, 70 million people voted for Agent Orange. 73 million, I believe, to be honest. I don't get it, but yeah, they did. That speaks volumes about the mindset of this country. And then also, Meech, remember, out of all that, it was still 55 million plus people that still did not vote at all. At all. Did not like what they saw on either side of the fence. So then there's that. So yeah, we definitely have to work on a few things here. But right now, we all should be in that same boat. COVID don't care if you're Democrat. COVID don't care if you're Republican, okay? In the end, it's about getting things situated the best way we know how, period. And we need to work together toward that goal. If we can't do that, then folks, it's going to last a lot longer than it should. We need to come together and fix this thing, okay? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Well, that being said, folks, that is that discussion. Now, we're going to jump into our next topic here, and we're going to talk about the CDC guidelines for reopening schools. Of course, we had this discussion last week on the show about can we open schools safely now. I think the consensus was that most of us feel like opening schools just straight up as is, full blown implementation of everybody being in class and whatnot. We're not going to be able to pull that off right now. It's going to be too complicated. It's going to take too many resources, particularly in some of these larger school districts with the social distancing and the masking and the cleaning of the schools. It's just going to be a lot to have to contend with. Okay. Who we got here? Miss Pat saying exactly and period. Absolutely. So that being said, folks, the CDC has put out new guidelines in regards to opening the schools. Let me share this screen here with you guys. Now, that might be too small for you guys. See, I know it's small here on the yard, but basically, this is the operating strategy for K-12 schools through phase mitigation. And it is a 38-page document that was issued out by the Center for Disease Control to give us some type of idea how we can implement that to open schools safely. And to be quite honest, usually I would break it down for you guys and let you know the key points in it all, but it's quite confusing. It really is. Even for us people that consider ourselves slightly smart, you go and read that. Some things depend on the community and how much COVID is going on, how much testing is available, the numbers in terms of how high the positivity rates and hospitalization rates are. Some of them depend on what schools have already been open and what the numbers have been like there. Some places have different rules depending on the size of the school, the size of the school district, where you at in the country in terms of the COVID numbers. It gets very detailed and it's very, very confusing. Basic person A will have a hard time reading through this and getting any full understanding of what it actually means to do this stuff. And I'm saying this, but I'm not the only one saying this. There are other folks who actually have an idea of how this works, and they confused as well. Okay, Ms. Pat is saying, I participated in a rally 2 weeks ago, not to send the teachers, staff, nor employees until everyone is vaccinated. And that's the thing, Ms. Pat. Okay, now we already know there's people here in the Nighthawk Network as they chiming in saying that they're not getting that vaccination no matter what. They don't care what you say. They don't care if you pay them. They don't pay them. I'll quit first. I'll move first, what have you. They're just not doing it. And some of these teachers, as we see, we talked to the teachers last week. Some of them said, look, I'm not doing it. Or wait, I'm going to wait to see if that's a wise thing to do right now. I want to see how it plays out. So that being said, if you want every teacher to be vaccinated and all the staff and employees, there's that. Then also keep in mind, if we're set up in a situation where they need to have more teachers, because again, this CDC protocol calls for that they need more teachers so they can spread the classes out evenly to where there's not 30 and 40 students in a class. Some of these school districts, they're just not built for that. There's these large schools, true enough, but the classrooms themselves are very small, okay? Now, it does point out that it does not have to be a full implementation of people going back to school. In other words, we're not just going to open schools back up and we got full classes as usual, just people wearing a few masks and whatnot. No, they're saying you need to base it upon what's going on in the community and what room each individual school district and school has. So there's that. So more than likely, I think it'll be a combination of some school districts that's small that says, okay, we got enough room where we can space folks out. We'll open school all week. We'll just kind of change the hours to where all the kids aren't there at once. Other schools are going to look at it like, okay, well, we're going to have to split it up. Some kids will do Monday through Tuesday. Some kids will do Wednesday through Thursday, and we'll just pop them in and out where we see fit. So at least they're getting some type of on-the-job, in-class training. So that kind of helps make up for what they're not getting at home in terms of the online training. So there's that. Okay, Meech checking back in. I truly believe President Biden will have to talk with all those governors that the orange Smurf snuffed and shunned. Once the people of those states receive relief, the people will calm down and be willing to listen to all viewpoints. Absolutely. And like I said, I think that's part of what his intentions is tonight in this town hall, to have that discussion with people. Because keep in mind, the president oftentimes, at least the previous administration, he would come on and the press conference and get to smurfing about this and that and this, and you really didn't gain much from it. It was just, okay, well, you decided to be on TV today, and you told us what, and we know what. The only time he seemed to be very clear was early on in his administration, when he let us know that he was going to do the tax cut for all his rich buddies, for the 1%ers. That he was very clear about. So once he got that done, everything else was kind of, and then of course it was the wall and all that mess. Nonetheless, okay, again, like I said, you can go to the CDC website and check that out and read it if you choose to. I myself say, unless you are an educator and it's your job to know some of these things, I myself would not waste my time. In the end, I still go with what we talked about last week. It is too early to open these schools back fully. It's really too early to open them back partially. Some of them already are, mind you. But like the governor's goal to have schools open by March 1st, I think it's a pipe dream. The president's goal to have them open by April 1st or somewhere in there, also pipe dream. I honestly think that we should consider, as crazy as it's going to sound to some people, at some point saying, look, here's the situation. We are in a pandemic. These kids are behind. We all know it. It ain't just these kids here in America. It's these kids in Canada, Mexico, and everywhere else. We need to sit down as a society and understand that, okay, charge 2020 school year to the game. Charge 2021, this first half, to the game, okay? Let's sit down. Shut it all down, okay? Shut it all down. Start having some meetings to where we can truly understand, okay, we're going to assume this and this and this. And then as more people get vaccinated and we can start to open up society a little better, then determine, okay, now it's time to open schools fully. Where we ain't got to play these little piddling games with kind of opening, maybe opening in bits and pieces. We have a full understanding, okay, this is what we're going to do. And even if it takes, okay, we have to change up the school year a little bit for the next year, where, okay, we're going to have morning school for half the students and afternoon school for the other half of the students. If we have to have Saturday school, if we have to have extended school year, where we basically had them run through summer school. However, we need to do this to where we can get everybody caught back up and it makes sense. Let's work on that as opposed to just trying to rush everybody to school, because we know part of it is they want these students to go to school so these school districts can get paid. And in terms of that, most of these school districts, they'll get paid, they'll implement that money to what it's supposed to be for, and some of that money y'all know what I'm saying, some of that money gonna go to pockets and places where it don't belong, especially since there's other money out there. So keep in mind, the Republicans ain't totally wrong when they say, okay, we have problems with implementing more money because we still ain't fully decided where this first money went. And then, of course, let's not forget the initial package in April, where all these other companies and whatnot was getting access to the money that they shouldn't have because it was not set up for them. It's for small business, not for franchisees and colleges and sports teams and some of these other entities that ended up getting loans and whatnot. Not to mention some of these cities that's taking the money and it's just sitting somewhere waiting for people to forget about it, so then they can just conveniently end up somewhere else. There's that. Okay, H2 is saying, but what about teachers and students who can't take the vaccine because of it? And of course, there's those things to consider also. Keep in mind, some of these schools are they're colloquial, the parochial schools, the Catholic schools, and those type of schools. What do you do about that? I mean, in New York, they have that large Jewish population. Are you going to require them to take the vaccine, and that's going against what they believe? according to what they said about vaccines, they're not going to require people to go against their religious beliefs in doing so. But in the end, do you say, okay, well, that part of the population, y'all just fend the best way you can? Because remember, the goal is to get to herd immunity. So in the end, it may not necessarily be needed for that particular part of the population to get vaccinated to get herd immunity. But in the same token, if those people in that community and nobody's vaccinated, then perhaps that's a situation where that particular pocket of the community still has coronavirus running rampant while the rest of the city is getting it slowed down to a point to where it's okay. So now then that pocket of people gets to dying off and whatnot. At that point, because everybody else is relatively straight, do we care about them? Do we charge them to the game? Like, well, that was y'all religious beliefs. Y'all don't want y'all not to do that. Y'all died off. Oh well. Is that how we gonna do them? Things to consider, folks. Okay, Miss Pat is saying, I was only saying what I felt. Everyone can make their own decisions. But teachers have been back to school and died and gave it to their spouse that died. Yes, I know about that talk. We discussed that before, Miss Pat. To each his own. But as you and Helena know, the virus killed my niece and my brother and sister-in-law and have to raise my niece's daughter. And like I said, Miss Pat, remember, 491,000 plus have died from the coronavirus. Like I said, I sympathize for your situation. I'm looking at the comments and the people in the comments. It's about everybody that I know that's in these comments. They have lost someone due to COVID-19. I have. I've lost family members. I've lost people that I've cared about. I've lost old bosses, old co-workers, the whole deal. I will not belittle that fact. I will not just throw that under the rug. COVID is still real. Yes, we are starting to get some semblance of control on it, but it's still an issue, okay? There are people, they have a legitimate concern. Some people, I would say, have a downright fear of this virus to where they are concerned for their well-being and safety, and I cannot blame them for that. I'm sitting here at home as I have been for the better part of a year because could I go out and get any punk job somewhere else? Probably so. I myself choose to work where I've worked previously to the pandemic. And because I'm able to do that based on the funds that have been made available, I'm going to do so. But in the same token, some people, unfortunately, because of how it's set up, they're going to be forced to make decisions before they're ready to make those decisions. And at that point, they have to weigh the options. Keep in mind, Ms. Pat, some teachers, as a matter of fact, several teachers in certain school districts have just flat out retired as opposed to having to deal with this at all. So they say, okay, if that's how they're going to play it, then I just retire. I already got my fundings and stuff set up. I'm not going back to deal with none of that. And it's not just teachers that's making those decisions. They're saying that doctors and firefighters and other people are just retiring as opposed to having to deal with this at all. Okay, Leah's saying my mother took her first dose of the COVID vaccine last Friday. So far, nothing out of the ordinary, but definitely been keeping a close eye on her. And absolutely, and keep in mind, I've had several family members who have taken both doses, and none of them are reporting any type of situations whatsoever. They are doing well. In fact, one of them is a nurse, and she has had her 2 doses for almost 6 weeks now, and she's actually one of the people that administers the vaccine herself. So she is doing quite well, actually. Okay, H2 saying real talk. If I was a teacher right now, I would leave my job. And like I said, those are decisions that some of them have to make. Me myself, I would definitely feel some type of way if my employer at this point forced us to take the vaccine. I've had discussions with my employer, and he has let us know in no uncertain terms that no, there will be no forcing of people to take the vaccine once we open back up for business. None whatsoever. So that being said, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to go back to doing the work that I loved and cared about. But in the same token, because of how we're set up, it's not as big an issue. We're not going to be around scores of people to that degree. Now, if you're a teacher and you're around children every day and you don't know what environment they're coming from, they could be bringing all type of COVID to the classroom for all you know. So yeah, you have to be concerned about that. And then you don't know as the school day goes. Remember, some of these schools have 3, 4, 5,000 students in them on a regular daily basis. You're gonna open the schools back up and have that going on. And then again, there's these things that we have not considered in terms of reopening that we're going to talk about in the next segment. And that's really where my concern is with some of that. Fletch, what's going on? I see you in the comments. Like I said, for those of y'all that's popping in right quick, let us know where you're coming from. All right. Let us know what locality you are reporting in on this show. Let us know what city, what state, what country, if that is the case. We want to know where the Nighthawk Network is being reported right now, and check on in, please. We appreciate you. With that being said, like I said, those CDC guidelines very confusing, y'all. Very confusing. Good luck figuring that out. But anyway, we're about to take a commercial break, and when we come on back, we're gonna get into the meat of the show this evening. We're gonna talk about the rules of re-engagement after COVID. Because like I said, we're starting to work this thing out slowly but surely, but there's a lot to consider before we jump back out here in the water like that. It's not just gonna be this light switch where boom, let's just open everything back up and here we go. No, 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 friends. We got to think about some things, okay? So we're gonna get into that after these commercial messages from our fine partners here and the Nighthawk Network, starting with this guy right here.
What's up, y'all? This your boy Derek, the host of that fabulous show, Hey Bitches Live, the remix with your boy Derek. Do me a favor. Go check out my Facebook page, HB Live, the remix with Derek. Like it, join it. That's one good way that you can always find out when my shows will be on. They're always on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Subscribe to that for me, and we got it going on. You know, Hey Bitches Live, the remix, the show that talks about all the things that a lot of us want to talk about and some of us are scared to talk about. So check me out, Hey Bitches Live, the remix with your boy Derek, a very proud member of the Nighthawk Network.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
The views and opinions expressed here on Get Off My Lawn Live are those of the host or his guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its associates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised.
What up, folks? We are back. Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your host, Eric Buckner. EB is in the building, and right now we're about to get into another discussion in regards to reopening society after COVID. But first, let me address some comments from this last one. Ms. Pat saying this was only my opinion. Miss Pat, please understand, never am I disrespecting your opinion. You know I value it very much. Remember, the reason why we have these discussions because we as people need to have them. So we need to understand both sides of the story. So those who agree or disagree with my opinion or any of the opinions in the room, I want to hear them because as long as we respectfully have these discussions, it is appreciated and we learn from each other here. So no, I'm not dismissing your comment. I'm not saying you're wrong one way or another. I just want to know how certain people feel about it, and I'm letting people in return know how I feel about it. So please don't feel You are being slighted in any way, shape, or form. You know I love you, Miss Pat. Because I have a nephew that teaches school that has his doctorate, I have 2 cousins that are making other choices. Understood. Okay, research department H2 this evening is saying there are 83,800 students in the Baltimore City school system alone. 914 certified teachers, total full-time staff, 11,273 people. So keep in mind, let's hold on that for a second. So that right there is what, quick math, 12,000 people that would have to be fully vaccinated. Remember, most of these vaccines require 2 doses, one 21 days apart, one 28 days apart. So let's just say a tenth of them have already been vaccinated. You still have to wait for all these people to be fully vaccinated, because remember, you got to wait 7 to 10 days after that second shot to be considered fully vaccinated. So that's a whole nother month or so you have to wait. Today is February 16th. So let's just say they all did it tomorrow. That still means we're looking at probably the middle of April before we can open schools back fully with everybody having been vaccinated. So there's that. And of course, we're talking about Baltimore. 914, how many of those people are people of color, people who distrust the vaccine, people who, for religions, as H2 pointed out, would not take the vaccine, so on and so forth. So that's things to consider. Not to mention, of course, you get the school unions and teachers unions and janitor union and all that that's going to weigh in on the process, dealing with it that way. So there's that. And remember, that's just the Baltimore school system. Ours is probably similar in terms of numbers, but then remember, the 2 largest school systems here in America belong to Los Angeles and New York City. Between just those 2 school systems, you talk about over 3.5 million students. 3.5 million students. So think about what it would require to teach just those 2 school districts. All the teachers that you would need, all the extra cleaning staff, all the rooms that would have to be upgraded and fitted with some of those things that I showed you last week, in terms of the plastic parchment and the separating of the desk and the refitting classrooms for ventilation and all of that. That requires a lot of time, money, and effort. And they want us to just boom, boom, boom. Let's do it in the next 30 to 60 days. Even if all the money is given to them, say tomorrow, that's just not going to happen like that. It's like they thought they were going to do the 100 million people vaccinated in 100 days. Clearly, that's not going to happen like that. We got to start looking at these things from a more realistic viewpoint, folks. Because right now, we have a plan, unlike before where there was really no real plan, but this plan has a whole bunch of branches and whatnot that we have not completely considered. And that's part of the issue right now. Okay, Ms. Pat is saying, I was saying you didn't agree with me, and you have to get everyone's input. I didn't want to think that you didn't think that I didn't respect anyone's opinion. Oh, no, you good, Miss Pat. Just a little difference of understanding on that. Well, we good. You know I love you. You know we love you. You are a key part to our Nighthawk Network. We appreciate you. Hey, I see you there. I see you, friend Amy. Check in. Let us know where you're checking in from. Yeah, tonight, folks, for all these people that are out here now seeing, watching the show, even if you don't want to comment per se, please let us know where you're checking in from the Nighthawk Network, so we can acknowledge you and your place of origin at the moment. Thank you very much for doing that for us. I appreciate you. Okay, Big Meech is checking back in. He is saying that because the government wanted this to fail, how do you not know a fraudulent application if you are supposedly up on your data and are able to cross-reference everyone else but cannot detect fraud? And of course, he's talking about some of these implementations of the monies and whatnot. So very true. Saying hi to friend Amy, who was in the building. Hey, friend Amy, research department specialist, friend to the show, and she is coming in from Alabama, Birmingham, if I correct. Is that right, Amy? So like I said, we've had several people check in, people from Alabama, from Georgia, from Detroit, from Philadelphia. We got all type of people here in the Nighthawk Network, and some of y'all from Texas. I've seen some of y'all in the comments. By all means, when you come in tonight, let us know where you're coming in from. Check on in, people. We appreciate you. 80% of Baltimore public schools are African American, and 40% of the staff is African American. Exactly. And we already know that African Americans are more so even than the rest of our counterparts are having an issue with whether or not they should take the vaccine for a variety of reasons. We know that. Let's see, that is Miss Pat. Because you still have a lot of people and addicts. Don't think they need to wear a mask. But I will tell them not to come near me and my daughter because if we catch it, it could be fatal. Exactly. And yeah, there's that part. Because some people, regardless of what the new mandates is, remember, there should be no people on any transportation that is public that is not wearing a mask. That has been mandated by the current administration. If you are on public transportation of any kind, in fact, if you are in a ride share, so that's an Uber or a Lyft or this new thing that we have here, Zoom, I believe it is. All these people should be wearing a mask, both passenger and person that's driving. So if there's any in regards to that, please let people know that that ain't cool, and you're gonna let people know if you need to, okay? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, Amy. So that being said, let's get into our main topic this evening, which I have entitled Rules of Reengagement After COVID. In other words, what are we gonna need to do in order to start to reengage society fully? There are some things in regards to this conversation that I feel many people have not considered in trying to get society back to some sense of normalcy. First of all, let me be very plain and clear. When I need to do that, that means I'm about to pull out Mr. Microphone. People, we are talking new normal. New normal. New normal. What does that mean? That means that if you think that one day, sometime, let's just say 4 months from now, we're going to go back to exactly the way things were pre-COVID, you are delusional and foolish and not a wise thinker at all, okay? I don't want to call you dumb or stupid. Those are derogatory words in of themselves. I'm just going to say you're ignorant to the facts at hand. It is not going to be the same, nor should it be. Because some of the things that we have learned from COVID-19, we cannot unlearn them, okay? Understand, this is a respiratory virus, a germ, if you would, bacteria that part of us is getting because of how we deal with our everyday lives, because people weren't being clean in some of their habits, washing their hands and cleaning the surfaces where they need to clean them and all that. We cannot go back to that, folks. That would not be good. There are some people that when they were sick, they didn't deal with being sick correctly. They would go and just be coughing all over everywhere and sneezing all over everywhere, not caring where the germs went. We can't go back to that either, okay? Again, not wise. Okay, quick comments. I am still wearing a mask where COVID disappears or not. Protect yourself at all times. Germ warfare, absolutely. People, here's the thing. They had an interview that I saw on, I believe it was CBS a few days ago, where they talked to some of the COVID experts, the epidemiologists and doctors in charge of such things, and basically gave them some questions in regards to what they would do post-COVID. And let me tell you something. Every last one of them, when they asked them, would you still wear a mask right now, even if you were fully vaccinated, they said unequivocally, yes, 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 they would. Because remember, we know that these vaccines work to a degree. We also know that they are experimental vaccines. We do know that these vaccines do not, I repeat, hold on, let me grab it again, do not cure COVID-19. There is not a cure for COVID-19. There will not be at this time a cure for COVID-19, just like there's no cure for the other COVID. There's no cure for SARS. There's no cure for HIV. There's no cure for the flu, for the common cold, so on and so forth. If anybody makes them to where if you take this, you are completely done ever getting a cold or the flu or COVID-19, not only is that person going to probably win the Nobel Peace Prize for chemistry or whatever the case, they're probably going to be a gazillionaire. They're going to make big time money because they solving a problem that would basically fix the world in and of itself. Okay, prior to saying, my older brother who broke his ankle a couple weeks ago was sent to a nursing home for 2 weeks since he lives alone and couldn't care for himself and ended up testing positive for COVID yesterday. He is 54 and had a bad heart. He was transferred to a different home in St. Clair Shores, strictly for COVID patients. Hoping he kicks it. And Pride, thanks for letting us know that. We are sending out prayers from the Nighthawk Network, and all the people here, I'm sure, will chime into that your brother is safe and he kicks COVID and has a full recovery from not just the COVID, but from the ankle as well. We pray that into the universe. Amen. Because, yeah, like I said, COVID is still an issue, y'all. It ain't gone yet. And like I said, remember, when we get to this point, it will not be completely gone, okay? We will still have pockets of society that catch COVID. The thing is, unfortunately, we will get to a point where we feel that it's at acceptable levels. Right now, in terms of the overall country, like, for example, take the Michigan numbers that I didn't cite earlier. Today here in Michigan, we had only 775 positive cases of COVID. And again, only in 775 kind of sound kind of crazy, but compared to 4 and 6,000, that's a big difference, right? We only had 9 people die from COVID according to the records. 19 is still a nice amount of people, but it's still better than 190 and 200 and whatnot that we had. Keep in mind, on average, last month about this time, we had 3,000 to 3,500 people dying from COVID. Right now, we're at a little bit over 12 to 1,500 in terms of the country itself. So the numbers are definitely going down, but we're still not where we need to be with this thing. And in the end, like I said, we'll get to a point where there'll probably maybe be 100 people die a day in the country, about a couple thousand get sick perhaps. And at that point, we won't be getting the numbers reported to us. So it's not like it's going to go away. It's just that they're not going to care as much, okay? They're going to figure that, okay, these are acceptable numbers and deal with it in that regard. So that being said, remember, right now, pockets of society, depending on where you are in the country, because that's part of why I want you guys to check in and let us know where you're checking in from, because depending on where you are, certain places are more wide open than others. I know 2 or 3 people now that then left the code to go down to Miami, for example. I got some people here that's looking to go to Miami sometime next week or so. And at this point, COVID is more prevalent there in Florida than it is here. But because it's freezing cold here and it's warm as hell down there, they want to go on vacation as they normally would. My thing is this, my personal beliefs, again, the views and opinions of those of the Nighthawk Network, Get Off My Lawn Live, are mine, and not those of my Nighthawk Network affiliates or people in my circle, okay? That being said, I myself wouldn't do it. One, I don't feel it's safe, personally. 2, when you get down there, half everything's still not going to be fully open. Even in crazy Florida, where most of the time it was like, okay, we still going to leave this, and this open. We're not going to mandate masks here, and here. You're still not going to be able to have the full fun that you could have had if you waited the 6 or 12 months, whatever the case may be, to where you can go down there fully. But let's get into this, okay? Again, the main people being affected by COVID in terms of the jobs right now are people that work in the service industries, such as the travel industry, hospitality, bars and restaurants, people of that nature, okay? Some of these places, yes, they are open, but they're open to maybe 25% capacity, 50%. Some of the hotels that's open, they're having very few bookings as opposed to what they normally would have. Some of these other places not open at all. Some of these places only partially open, like the casinos. They're open right now, but they're only supposed to have a certain amount of people. We know they're going over that. It's too much money involved for them not to. But they're still not open fully. And also, a lot of the eateries in these casinos or whatnot are not open, and they make a killing on the food part of the casino. That's part of why I go to a couple places. For people here in Detroit, you go down there to Motor City and get that good old corned beef sandwich. That boy slapped, don't it? Or you go down to MGM Grand and get on that the buffet, pay your $20, crab late night and soul food night and all that. That's part of the casino experience right then and there. Okay, hold on. We got other people checking in right quick. Prayers for Prize Brother. Absolutely prayers to Brother Hunter. I so agree. Let's see. Big Red checking in. What up, Big Red? Big Red from Dishing Tea with Big Meech, and also Hot Atlanta, radio. You know what it is. If you don't, you better get hip. What's going on, Big Red? Let us know where you're checking in from, Red. Even though I already know where you're checking in from. What channel is the prayer zone? CNN. CNN. You can check that town hall that's going on right now. Hey, Big Red, what's going on? Everybody saying what's up to my brother Big Red. Yeah, so anyway, those particular industries are being hit the hardest because most of the people that are unemployed are from those industries because either they're not able to get the hours they normally would get at this time, or they're not getting any hours at all because the places are closed. When these places open back up, understand three things. One, they're going to have to implement all type of new procedures and whatnot. Again, we're not going back to what some of y'all consider to be normal, okay? It's going to have to be some changes made in terms of how they clean these places, how they maintain these places, the people that work and how they maintain themselves. It's going to be changes in terms of the fact that when we open back up society, people like myself, I'm not about to jump out there like, hi, everything's open. It's on, fools. And I ain't the only person to feel that way. Some of y'all, as soon as they open up whatever, because a couple weeks ago when they opened up the restaurant, some of y'all couldn't wait to go on Facebook like, yeah, as soon as they open up tomorrow, we hitting the bar, girl, or we going to the restaurant and whatever. Nope. Not me, not the kid, and not a lot of y'all. Y'all not about to just jump out there and be like, okay, it's on like it was before. Now, granted, here's part of what the problem is going to be, okay? We're going to start to open these places back up because, remember, spring is coming. We also know because they're working on a package and more than likely it's going to be passed and approved in the next 2 to 4 weeks, that $1,400, and in some cases plus for those of us who have children, that's coming, okay? You're about to have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in your hand, on this hand. Then on the other hand, it's income tax time. I know some of y'all done filed already. Y'all already know when the money comes, at least you think you do. Because remember, the mail system running kind of crazy right now. So if it's coming through the mail, you might be waiting a little longer than you think. But anyway, there's that. And then, of course, you'll have that money. So stimulus money, tax money. For some of y'all, that's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. I know some of y'all like, heck yeah, I can't wait. Do you honestly think for some of them, they're going to just sit on that money and wait till things can open back up safely and they got all that money? Money going to burn a hole in that pocket. They can't wait to spend it all. Can't wait to jump out there to the Walmarts of the world with the big screen TV like they do every year. It's crazy how some of y'all use the tax money on some of the same stuff every year. Boggles my mind. But anyway, yeah, and buy all this new stuff, get all this new gear because you wasn't able to go out last year because of COVID, but now they about to open stuff up. So yeah, I'm about to go on here and get geared up and be out here. I'm about to take my trip because, you know, the airline's going to start out with things being cheaper so that people can start to fully engage. So yeah, I'm going to get this deal on the airline package, head on down to Miami and California and Texas, where COVID is still more prevalent than it is here, I might add, and be out here and just do my thing. Spend my money because I got it like that. I got this money. We only live once. I got to get it in. But do you though? Do you though? Back to the comments. Baltimore has the best corned beef, period. Depends on where you go. Here in Detroit, we got some pretty good corned beef, H2. You'll find out one day when you come here. Okay, some may not be getting any tax money back because of unemployment. And then there's that part. But then, of course, some will argue some of these people shouldn't have got unemployment in the first place. They just lazy, didn't want to work. It was jobs out here. They could have worked at Kroger's, Walmart, Target, McDonald's, whatnot. They hiring. Why not go there? Any job would do, right? CP jumping in. She's saying, absolutely, but not preparing for the next wave of hardships. That part. Because remember, some of us, big time behind on the bills, okay? Behind on the phone bill, behind on the mortgage, behind on the car note, all that. We've made these payment arrangements and whatnot. There's a moratoriums that will be extended, you know, in this next bill and what have you. But at some point, we got to make up for that money, okay? And in the end, that becomes more important than going out here and blowing the money on what have you. Because in the end, if you got money and you going on trips and whatnot, but your house not paid for, your rent ain't properly caught up, you months and months behind on some of your utilities, I question your judgment, folks. I don't think that's wise. You need to get your priorities straight. My personal opinion. Okay, far from perfect, mind you. I'm not sitting here with no 850 credit score myself, mind you. But keep in mind, as these monies have come in, I've implemented them properly to the most part. I bought a few luxury items, sure, but in terms of what I needed to do with that money, for the most part, I've done just that. My credit score then went up 75 points since this time. I didn't invest it in the stock market and made a little bit of money. Those types of things. Other folks, as soon as they get it, they got to spend it. It got to go. Fun, fun, fun. Fun, fun, fun. Let's do it. No, let's not do it. And let's talk more about why here. Hold on. Comment. In the immortal words of Chuck D and PE, can't trust it. Oh, no, no, no. Agreed, Pride Hunter. Agreed. Okay, so again, there's that. So as these restaurants and these small businesses, the hotels and all that open back up, they're not going to get this wave of people in some of these places like you would think. It's going to take time for them to build back up the business. And keep in mind, some people have a long memory. If they see that during COVID, they weren't being dealt with properly and they didn't deal with stuff properly in these places, and they come back and it's the same way, they're not going to frequent these places. If you go to one place and they being safe and they got hand sanitizer everywhere and you see people wiping stuff down and what have you, but then you go in the next place and everybody playing it like it was before, ain't nobody spraying nothing, ain't nobody got no mask on, all that other stuff. Not me, and not a lot of y'all. Some of y'all don't care. Y'all don't care if they wear the mask. As long as you ain't got to deal with none of that COVID stuff we're dealing with now because you hated it, you good with it. And if you feel like they're going to be more of an issue, some of y'all, just like they did in droves last year from New York and other places around here, y'all going to move to places that's more COVID-19 unfriendly. In other words, where they're not having all these mandates and things of nature. A lot of people last year moved from New York City where COVID was rampant down to Florida because Florida was less restricted in regards to COVID, or down to Texas, or down to places like Tennessee and Kentucky. They moved there because in some of those states, the laws and things in regards to COVID not so stringent. Some people move from certain parts of California to other parts of California for that reason, and so on and so forth. So there's that. Remember, all these states are running their own sets of rules. They have their own COVID playbook on this thing. So what they might be doing here in Michigan or some of these other places that you're naming as you're chiming in may be different than what's going on in your neck of the woods, okay? So where some places may say, okay, well, we got 400 cases. That's good enough for us. Open it all back up, boys, 100%, bomb, bomb, bomb. There's that. I'm going to tell you something very honestly, folks. It's going to happen. Pretty much everything I predicted, if you go back on my season 1 of the audio podcast, Get Off My Lawn Live, and I talked about a lot of these things and how it was going to go down, you'll find out I was right on a lot of it. I really was. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm right about this too. At some point, one of these major cities is going to open back up, and they're going to have a COVID problem. And it's going to be to the point where they're going to have to shut a lot of that right back down again. And that's going to be months after now, mind you. I'm not talking about we do it in the next 30, 60 days and we have to shut it back. I'm talking about when we open back up, quote unquote, fully in the August, September, October months, one of these cities is going to have a major COVID problem and they're going to have to shut it all back down. It's going to happen. And because of that, and it's reported as such, that's going to cause problems with the places around them. That's going to cause problems with some of these other places because they're going to look at it like, oh, see, whatever city, let me just name one, Detroit, Baltimore, Cleveland, pick one. They done messed up. They got a COVID problem. It's going to happen here too. Or that's their fault. They should have dealt with it better, what have you. It's going to happen. I promise you. We'll bet money it's going to happen, okay? All right, let's see what we got. Everybody saying hi to Big Red. Absolutely, says it's Pat. Facts, what's going on, nephew? Nephew checking in. Where you checking in from, nephew? Let us know. So scary. How about Governor Cuomo? And then there's that issue where they talked about how early on in the pandemic, Governor Andrew Cuomo had people who were not having COVID issues in nursing homes stay with people that were and placing them in these places, knowing that those places had COVID issues. He is catching a lot of flack for that. And of course, if Mr. Muhammad's in the comment, he'll point that out that happened here in Michigan because we talk about that often. In some other states, it's happened as well. New Jersey, California, to name a couple. Okay, Meech is saying that's what set us up by the orange smurf. Exactly. All the states began to exercise states' rights to protect their economy. Exactly. Hey, Big Red, saying Leah. I think a big problem with opening back up is that government isn't being honest about numbers because they would lose votes. Yes, in certain states in particular, I absolutely believe that. That's why the numbers are being fudged. Because remember, it's a constant election cycle somewhere. Hell, this year here in Detroit, we got the mayoral race at the end of the year. Next year, we got the governor coming back up for re-election. All these things definitely, cash considerations definitely will play a major part in how we re-engage after COVID. Please believe it. Please believe it. Exactly. People want Cuomo to resign. They want Governor Whitmer to resign. I'm sure there's other people that might chime in and talk about, yeah, in California, they want to get rid of their governor. That's going to happen. Basically, as soon as something go wrong, you got to blame somebody. In that case, it's on him. Of course, the new strands of the virus are not going to be affected by the vaccine, and they are saying that about some of these vaccines. The good thing, though, Meech, is that some of the other vaccines that's being tried now in some of these later trials, the AstraZeneca one, the Norvax one, the GSK, and some of the many other ones that's being tried out, they are being tested for the new variants. So as we get more vaccines in the pipeline, those vaccines are being tested for these new strains, so that if they do work, we'll know because they've been tested on the new strains and what have you. The Johnson & Johnson has been tested on the UK strain and the South African strain, and it's been shown to be effective with both of those. Not quite as effective as the original virus, but still relatively effective. So there's that. I do so also, Amy. Too much greed getting in the way of people's lives. The vaccine has become the only way now to lower death rates, not transmission rates. That's true. Very true. Because remember, these vaccines fight against people dying from corona, not necessarily from them getting it. That's still that issue. Greed has always gotten away every time. We have city council elections here in California. Exactly. Like I said, there's always an election somewhere. And because we so deeply divided as a nation in regards to this whole Democrat-Republican BS, there's always that to consider in the process. Because remember, we got 50 states, 26 of them run by Democrats. No, actually 26 run by Republicans, 24 run by Democrats in terms of the governors. And then, of course, in most of those states, the governor might be one party and the state senate might be something else. Or because their state is set up differently, there's that. So there's all that confusion that comes into play too. Okay, people, understand that cash considerations is part of it. Death rates will be part of it. The color of people in particular will be part of it as well. If you get in a community where the vast majority of that community is not being vaccinated for whatever reason they choose not to be, and then you reopen society, and that in turn leads to COVID outbreaks in that community, it will be dealt with in a way. For example, let's just say Detroit becomes maybe 40% vaccinated. 60% of us say, nope, not going to happen, not doing it. And then there's an outbreak here in Detroit. And most of the people that are dying or hospitalized happen to be people that look like me in terms of shade. How do you think that's going to proceed in a climate to where we just dealt with a president that supposedly, according to some, not racist, but clearly was? And now we got that situation going on. Part of the society going to look at it like, that's y'all folks, people of color. That's your fault, black folks. Y'all should have took that vaccine. Now you're dying. Y'all bad. We just ain't gonna go to Detroit. Detroit is tainted. Because that's gonna be an issue too. You do know that, right? For that community that had the major outbreak after the pandemic supposedly is over. Oh, don't go to Detroit. Don't go Chicago. Don't go to Madison, Wisconsin, wherever it is. They got COVID issues. It's dangerous to go there. And so that economy goes in the toilet. Because if they don't support the economy within the city itself or the state itself, they hit up. So then we have that issue. So what do we do about Detroit and Chicago now? They can't get back on because they got COVID issues. Do we send them aid for that particular city via FEMA or some type of government entity? Or you be like, it's your fault. You should have got vaccinated. We're not sending you jack. There's that to deal with. Okay, let's see what's going on. I'm campaigning for a young man who is running for city council. Like I said, there are people in all pockets of the states here that's doing some type of election this year. Question is about the vaccine. How many people will refuse it versus how many people will be denied it? And there's that. Because remember, right now, there are considerable amounts of people that want to take the vaccine. They actually want it. And they're not able to because they don't have access to it. Remember, they're supposed to be implementing these large places to shut out the vaccines and whatnot. But also remember, some places, you're not going to be able to get to the vaccine like that. If you stay out in rural America, hours away from any major city or whatnot, is it gonna come to your little small town, your little small doctor's office or pharmacy or whatnot, just so the 100 or 200 or the 500 people in your town can get vaccinated? Or are they gonna insist that you come to them? And some of you who basically lived in that town your whole life don't even have no transportation because you can walk wherever you need to go. Or you want to make that special trip just for that? Are special considerations going to be made? Are they going to send buses down to Okie Doke Scope cities or state and pick you up and take you to the big city where you can get vaccinated and bring you back and take you back 3-4 weeks later to get sick? Are they going to work it out that way? Are those considerations being made as they start to implement more money to do these things? That's the issue. Is it when we re-engage society fully, we're going to start out by opening the big cities because they're the ones make the money and then worry about the little inky-dink places later on? Is that how we're going to play it? Things to consider, folks. Okay, hold on. Which I will be bringing on the show Monday, March 15th. Yes, the person in the, let's go back here. They're talking about this person here. I'm campaigning for a young man who's running for city council. H2 saying on Hey Bitches on the 15th, she's going to bring that person on the show. Gotcha. Okay, yes, but everybody can't get to those places. Absolutely, that's my point. Because some people just don't have the transportation to do so. Some people don't have the resources. Some places are going to look at it like, okay, well, this vaccine is for our city and our people. We ain't got time to be vaccinating other pieces of the population. We got to make sure our people get it first. And they're going to have to deal with it the best way they can. Depending on what state you're dealing with, it could very well go down like that. So there's that part. Another thing, in terms of the small businesses, okay? A lot of these small businesses, unfortunately, are not opening back, period. No matter what type of loan or whatnot they're getting, they're just not going to make it. When we open back up, some of these businesses, they won't open back up and be able to open back up fully. But because people don't trust certain parts of what's going on in certain places, they're going to die out anyway. They didn't struggle through this whole thing just to get to the other side of COVID and end up shutting it all down anyway. Some of these places are going to have to reinvent themselves totally. Think about the places that have like the buffets, for instance. How safe are you going to feel eating at a buffet post-COVID? All them germs flying around. Especially the way the buffets are set up at the moment. Clearly, they're going to have to redefine how they deal with buffets, okay? You got 100 to 200 people in a restaurant digging in the same food, no mask, even with a mask. We don't know if they didn't wash their hands. We don't know what germs they putting on those utensils as the next person goes to get to the utensils. You don't know, like I said, a lot of them have those shields, true enough, but there's still air that comes through back and forth through there. So people are breathing on some of those foods. Are you going to feel comfortable going to a buffet? Me, myself, not so much. Okay, H2 is saying, what about those who are bedridden? Yeah, that part. What about people who are bedridden? Are they going, because remember, a lot of these people, say for the people that are in the nursing homes, the vaccine's coming to them. So they don't have to worry about it. Are you going to make those same considerations for other people? People that stay in like those senior centers, or people that usually get their hospital work done because the doctor comes to their home and deals with them from there? Are the doctors gonna have the ability to take the vaccine and take it to those homes and vaccinate those people? Those are things we have to consider as well. Absolutely, H2. Okay, greed. It shuts down rural hospitals. It pushes out small businesses. It opens up everything so early that the suffering got worse instead of better. Yep, that right there. Perfectly said. Exactly. I so agree, Amy and Helena. Yes. So yeah, we got that to deal with. Okay, I got a few other things to talk about in terms of this topic, but let me get a quick water break in, folks. So we're gonna catch this quick commercial break, and we're gonna get into it and talk about more of these rules of re-engagement after COVID. And don't forget our last topic about what music video, if you could remake any video from the past in regards to a music video, would you remake? So think about that. I will come back after this fine commercial break, okay?
Hey, bitches.
And now, once again, from the iconic city of Baltimore, we bring you season 2 of Helena Hologram. Hey, bitches. Let's talk about it.
Nighthawk Network presents Pastor Sean Love. Pastor Sean Love, devoted father and husband, a residing pastor at the River Rouge Bible Assembly in River Rouge, Michigan. Join him as he gives us messages from God's Word, Bible study, and encouragement. You can find him on YouTube under Sean Love.
Discretion is advised.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Unscripted talk on police reform and race relations.
And now, behind the blue curtains, law enforcement liaison, retired 32-year Chicago police veteran, homicide detective, former commander, sergeant, grant writer, lecturer, and adjunct professor, Joseph J. Mosley.
Behind the blue curtains, minister of common sense, former 12-year Fort Worth police officer, educator, voice of reason, and unapologetic practitioner of sound judgment, the young scholar, LaRonda Young.
Behind the blue curtains co-host, fact checker, and investigative journalist Isidoro Rodriguez.
What's going on, y'all? Get Off My Lawn Live is back. It's your boy E. Beezy. As you see, we still talking about rules of re-engagement after COVID. Comments was jumping off during the commercial. Let's see what y'all talking about up in here. Hold on, let's see where we is. Okay. H2 is checking in saying big business, big money, little business, they don't care, sadly. Already given her choice for what video she would like to remake. Reby Jackson's Centipede. I did like that song very much. Okay, Sean P saying that is specifically why I never choose to eat at buffet style establishments, nor do I get ice and drinks. Please do not get me started on how trifling humans can be. Facts. All facts. Remember, I done worked at a few of them, so trust me. If I tell y'all some of my stories, y'all might never eat in no restaurant ever. We'll say that for another show. Awesome, bro. Thank you, H2. Amy saying, dang, the production value just keeps skyrocketing. Talking about those commercials, Amy, we trying, folks. We trying to do our thing. Johnny needs that is specifically why I never choose to. Oh, wait a minute. We already been there. My bad. I said the same thing. I love you too, Miss Pat. About to lose sin. I'll be back for okay. We know you at work, Leah. Do what you need to do, boo. She's agreeing. Thank you, Leah. We appreciate you. So anyway, yeah, back to the re-engagement here after COVID. Another key part of this that people are not considering. How many of us are in locales right now where the public stuff is not open fully? In other words, if you have to go to the phone company, the electric bill, light bill, public works, property tax, all those places, you have to either go by appointment only or call them on the phone, right? How many of y'all had to go to court and do it virtually through Zoom and all that type of stuff? Because of those things, you do realize that a lot of the paperwork that entails all of that is very behind. Very behind. Think about all of us that had to file through unemployment primarily through the computer on the phone as opposed to going to the office as we normally would and taking all the information up there so it can get processed same day for the most part. There's that. Even now, you know, with unemployment, they require extra paperwork for your this year's taxes and comparing it to last year and receipts and all the other stuff. For people getting food stamps, they want to know what your situation is now as opposed to 6 months ago. All these things require all types of paperwork and computer implementations or whatnot, and they're behind on them because these people are either working from home or these buildings are not open where they have full access. So once they get open, it's a lot of paperwork to catch up on. Do you know if you're applying for a gun license here in Detroit, for example, they are a year backlog? In other words, you can try to put in the application, but it's going to be a year before they even consider the application, let alone getting it approved. Remember, some of us, when we went to go pay at here DTE or wherever your electrical place is, where you from, and there was that nice little line of people. So consider when they open these places back up, how long some of these lines going to be. Keeping in mind that we probably still going to be doing social distancing and whatnot. It's going to take time to get all that caught up. Remember, now there are people still waiting on the initial stimulus package from a year ago, and that paperwork is messy and issued. There's people waiting on the second one that they ain't got it yet. There's people on the third one. I'm looking here at Amy. She applied for unemployment down there, 9 months ago? And they still ain't told her nothing worth talking about. And that's 9 months ago. That's going to be crazy. She's going to actually get back to work, and then they're going to be talking about, oh, yeah, your benefits. I hope you still get them, though, if you had to wait that long, even if you is working. Because Because of when you apply for them, you should get all that back pay, whether you're working or not. That's my personal opinion. I know some of y'all ain't going to agree with that, but that's what I say. Okay, Amy is saying, Alabama is all open. WIC is doing phone appointments to reduce traffic. We'll see again. For the places like Alabama and Florida and stuff like that, it may not take them as long to get that together. But for places like here that's been shut down for the most part, and other places, the New Yorks and parts of California's and Illinois, those type of places, it's going to be a lot of catching up to do. Ms. Pat saying, I got all the way to court twice and it was postponed. I didn't get a letter in the mail till 3 days after court. And remember, another key thing, the mail system is backlogged big time, even still. That's a part that they haven't worked on yet because they're so busy trying to get COVID under control and whatnot. We still want to figure out what was going on with this doggone mail service to begin with. There's that part. It's probably still ballots out there from the election that didn't even get turned in. Probably still sitting in some mail room somewhere for all we know. And if they get discovered, that's going to start a whole nother controversy. You know it is. Okay, I don't actually know if SNAP is supposed to be claimed on your taxes. And again, because of those confusions, normally you'll have to call to find out and then go down there. But now because of you can't get these people on the phone, you can't go down there, those confusions come into play. That part. Since June last year, yeah, she's been waiting on unemployment. It's what, damn near March now, and still nothing. Like I said, about 9 months. That's crazy. I'm probably not going to get them. I know, and that's the bad part because as long as you waited, you should. Yep, Helena, same thing. Remember, I was the same with unemployment. I agree with what they need to pay Amy, all her money, absolutely. Pay friend Amy, flat, all her ends. Show her the money. I'm back. Yeah, Leah, thanks for coming back. So, yeah, we have all that we got to work with, okay? And then the biggest part of all is the fact that these major places, in other words, the people that work at the large venues, like the stadiums and concerts and things of that nature, they will probably be the last people that will be re-engaging, okay? Bottom line is there are some places and they have these little unsafe little, concerts with 500,000 people. But think about it. Some of these places where they hold these events, these sport events and concerts, they hold 20,000, 50,000. Hell, the big house at UNM holds over 110,000 people. You about to open up society and start that back fully, right off the rip, as soon as we open everything back up and have 110,000 people at the big house, and that's even if they have masks or anything like that. Do you think that's going to be safe? Let's just say September. Most of the people vaccinated, what have you. You're going to fully open back up the big house for 100,000 people, thinking that, okay, it's not going to cause some type of spreader event because of that? I mean, these are things to think about. So those people, more than likely, when we get to getting people back to work, they're probably going to be among the last people to get back to work. So some of those people might still need unemployment for a whole rest of the year. Are we going to make special considerations for them? Or are we going to force them to go ahead and get a job, and then when the time comes, have to make the decision, okay, do I keep this job I got now or go back to the job that I love and have for years and years? Some of these people that's not working right now that people are complaining, when they get unemployment, they can get a job. Some of these people that had the same job for 15, 20, 30, 40 years. And you want to force them to go get another job just because? When this is the job that they are fully trained and qualified to do? Is that fair? Okay, let me say that's smurfed up. Absolutely. There's a lawsuit against Georgia Department of Labor by at least 4 people in my position with them. See? Please call before going to any city, state, and federal agencies. Absolutely, because that's the worst thing. You done made your transportation arrangements to get to these places and come to find out they are closed. Keep in mind, for those people like us that's dealing with all the snow and whatnot this week, they have closed down several places for the next few days after they get the snow properly dealt with. So you definitely might want to do the due diligence of making a call before you head out to some of these places. Ms. Pat said, I did call them. I still don't get a phone response. The phone keeps ringing. Then the phone hangs up on me. It was 2 days before I went to court, and my lawyer called 3 days also and still couldn't get anyone to pick up the phone. Exactly. And like I said, when they open these places back up, a lot of these issues going to have to be dealt with first before they get to any new business. They're going to fix all the old business. And that's going to take some time. It ain't going to be no, let's open. No. The commissioner went on the bed and said that a lot of people waiting forever don't even qualify anyway. Okay, dude, but the least you could do is tell us instead of keeping us in limbo for a better part of the year. Absolutely. If I don't qualify, it shouldn't take you 9 months to let me know that. He went on the news. Yeah, we got you, Amy. I mean, it's sad. But people, like I said, patience. Patience is the key here. Don't just run out as soon as they open up certain things and think, boom, it's once again it's on and popping. Because if we don't have that patience, this COVID thing gonna last even longer than we thought it could. None of us that sat here thought that it'd be a year later and we still talking about stuff that ain't open and jobs that ain't open and we can't go here and there. When this first happened, we didn't think this was gonna get to this. You would laugh you think you did. Even the most smartest people probably would have gave it 6 months, not a whole year, man. And for the record, charge half of 2021 to the game, okay? Just do it. Be prepared for that. And if any other problems in the chain, let's just say Moderna and Pfizer, who promised all these vaccines, has some issue with one of the major plants. And suddenly they had to shut down for a few days. Let's just say they have a COVID problem within the plant itself that makes the COVID vaccine. That's going to change the scenario. I myself think worst case scenario because in the end, if these things happen, are there plans for that? How bad does that throw off the scenario if these things come into play? Let's just say for some reason, the vaccines start to have a major problem. Remember, these are experimental vaccines. Let's just say all of a sudden March gets here and because of some quirky thing with the weather or not, suddenly all people start to get issues with the vaccine that took it. You know, if that happens, people gonna be like, oh, see, that's that vaccine. Damn it, I knew it. I knew it. That's why I ain't take it. That's why I ain't do it. And I ain't gonna do it. And then we got to start all over. Let's just say some of these variances come in. It's like, okay, people getting COVID now, but the only COVID they getting is this Brazilian one or this South African one, and it's killing folks worse than the one that was before them. And these vaccines that we getting, it's not working on either one of these. What do we do then? I say you be like the Boy Scouts and be prepared before you rush out and spend that stack and that other stack and go party and all that. You might want to put some of that up and wait to see what happens next. I'm just saying. Okay, Amy said, have you talked about the new 2-mask thing? No, I have not. But yes, the CDC and also several of the epidemiologists are saying that we need to wear either double masks or masks that have more layers because of these new variances that are far more contagious than the other ones. They are suggesting that we double up on the mask or basically wear masks that have more of a covering, more of a stronger cloth mask. Like, for example, you know, I usually have one ready handy. See this one here? It has that inner lining in it. And then it has this other lining. Remember how you test your mask, people? Remember that test? Let's go through that right quick, shall we? You take that, you shine a light through it. The less light you see, the more effective your mask probably is. So those are things to consider when you do your mask, okay? And remember, when you put your mask on, don't be touching this. That's cross-contaminating whatever you had on your hand on the mask. You're going to put it on this way. You're going to take it off that way, okay? Quick little mask thing right quick for you. Okay, I should do that, Miss Pat. I just feel like they are already aware. Why should they care about me? Sad but true. Okay, again, we're talking about the next topic. Remember the time never made sense for the song, but was a cool video. True enough, but that was one of the coolest videos ever. We're about to get into that subject momentarily. Hold on, y'all. It was supposed to remind us when we were kings and queens. Yeah, talking about the video. See, H.H., this is why I'm here. That never occurred to me as a white person. Okay, then that. Okay, so look. That being said, since y'all done jumped ahead of me, let's get on into it. We didn't talk about this enough. Just be smart in your decisions. That's all I'm saying. So now, here we are. Let's have a little fun here near the end, okay? The subject is what music video from any of the videos in the past would you redo now? And keep in mind, I come up with this because remember, here in COVID, we got all this wonderful technology that we're seeing in regards to new phones and new iPads, and I'm learning all these programs on my computer in regards to Excel and Word and Photoshop and all those types of things, to where you see some of these nice promos that I'm making here for the show that I've made just on my computer, not doing nothing super spectacular. I mean, it's not necessarily easy, but it's not necessarily hard either. But that being said, I could probably use some of these things to make a music video. In fact, in a couple cases I had, for those of you in the Nighthawk Network on my support team, you see I've made a couple videos for you guys to show some of the things that I'm doing in the network. So that being said, let's just say that you had the power to do it, okay? You had the power to take any song with any artist and redo the video. What song and video would you redo? It could be a song from out now and you saw the video and you thought, whack, whack, whack. I would redo it this way. What if it's a song from back in the day and it was so plain Jane for the time, but now because we got all this modern technology, we can redo it? What if you saw a video and you didn't like the characters that they had in that video and you think some people now would fit it better? So here it is. The floor is open. What video would you redo if you could redo any video from the past? So that being said, let's get into it. Love is the Battlefield by Pat Benatar. I love that song. And think about some of the things you could do, especially now with the computer graphics and whatnot, and have the battlefield with the lasers and stuff going off and the bombs blowing up. That'd be an awesome video to redo. Come on, Ali, Money for Nothing. Money is for nothing. I love that song, Amy. That was excellent. Think about it. Then you got the money. They could be in the strip club with the little the money gun shooting. I mean, I can see all type of little things with that right there. That's a good one, Amy. Amy, just think what African Americans have to go through. Yep. And of course, we talking about that video, Remember the Time. Yes, yeah, I have done a few things. Yeah, you know, H2, you know better than anybody. Pride says the Cars You Might Think video with today's CGI would be incredible. True. Aha's Take on Me. Don't you ever in your life think about messing with that video, Pride Hunter. That's one of the best videos of all time, the way it was. Leave it alone, leave it alone. I understand that we got better computer graphics, but no, that video, no. Disagree. Leave that video alone. I'm talking about when you go on YouTube and get the looking up video, that one pop on, you will watch it every time. Just the way it is. Don't you mess with my video. The only thing that could limit your vision is your imagination, because they will have the budget for them things to take out. Yeah, and again, remember some of these videos back in the day was costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, but now they got millions and millions in the budget. They could ball out. Some of the jewelry that these rappers wear could pay for some of the videos we made back in the day. Just one chain. Okay, I honestly wouldn't redo any of the videos from the 80s. That's a special nostalgia about them all. And I get that. You know I like my 80s. Y'all know when I'm posting my albums of the day, oftentimes I go to the 80s for my inspiration for them. But no, some of those videos, I think they would be bombs if you could do them today. Keep in mind, a lot of the videos that I think about, I would have that artist do them. In other words, for example, have any of you guys seen the Gwen Stefani video? Allow me to reintroduce myself, where she basically takes outfits that she wore in different videos back in the day and wears it in that video. Something along those lines. Okay, movie stars. Okay, yep. And while we're having this discussion, what are some of the movie stars that you would have in the videos? There's a song out now by Snow Allegra. It's called Whoa. And in that video, she is the main character along with Michael B. Jordan. And for you ladies, y'all love Michael B. Jordan. I know you do. So when you seen her in the video and the way they be all up on each other and whatnot, I know you felt some type of way. Because that's probably your boo in your head, right? So imagine taking Michael B. Jordan and put him in some of these videos back in the day as the lead as opposed to other folks, for example. I love the Cars video. I myself, for example, let's talk cars for a minute. That Uh-Oh It's Magic, I would definitely redo that video with some of today's technology. That would be awesome. Because you know how like the part where he is coming out the water and whatnot? Think about what we could do now with CGI and the mirrors and all that stuff. That would be cool. Beat It by Michael Jackson. Yeah, that would not be a bad one to redo. I mean, you know, some of today's dancers where they be more flexible and some of the camera angles you could use. You could add some animation to it and whatnot. That'd be cool. Wouldn't be the same without Mike, obviously, though. As We Lay by Shirley Murdoch. Okay. That'd be an interesting thing to redo. Now, keep in mind, Shirley Murdoch, is she still with us? I don't recall. But yes, I do lust him. Talk about Michael B. Jordan. I bet you do, H2. I bet you do. But yeah, Janet Jackson, let's wait a while. I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of different without Janet, but I could think of some actresses I would put in Janet's place and some of the things I would have them do in the video. Yeah, I know. I got issues just like H. Look at H2. Yes, I do lust for Michael B. I bet you do. You ain't the only one, though. You want some of that like I want some of Holly Berry and some of these other folks. There's some fine men and women out here. And if you could put them in your favorite song in the video instead of who was in there at the time, that would be something, right? Okay, and then let's look at some of the videos that did come out. What if we could do a remix version of them now with the same people? Like, for example, I would love to see Mary J. Blige and Method Man do We All I Need to Get By. And because remember, they are in that new series of Power, the Power Ghost Book 2. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say they did a video with that song and it implements things within that particular show. Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be something to do. Okay, here we go. Now, Israel. Young man, I understand you're a particular age and whatnot, but Thriller, we can't be messing with Thriller, okay? In my mind, Thriller is probably one of the top 3 videos of all time, as it is right now. And H2 apparently agrees with you, but I say, no. Don't you touch Thriller. And the reason why I say don't touch Thriller, beyond the fact that it was a masterpiece in and of itself, probably should have got an Academy Award and everything else because it was more movie than video. Remember, Mike ain't with us no more, y'all. I can't see nobody else in that video outside of Mike. Not sure I ain't trying to see no hologram, no disrespect, Helena, as Michael Jackson doing the Thriller. Leave that one alone, y'all. Leave that one alone. Okay, Miss Pat is saying, of course, Shirley Murdoch is still around. Okay, just checking. You know, nowadays, the way people drop it, Miss Pat, I don't be knowing. I've had a couple instances the last few days, like, okay, yeah, so-and-so still alive. No, they ain't. So-and-so dead. No, they ain't. So I got to check. Nowadays because people drop it like flies, unfortunately. Duran, Wild Boys, excellent choice. Could use an update to bring out the Road Warrior Star Wars story that was going on. Absolutely. Now, that's a good one. I like that idea. I'm just saying upgrade it. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Now, okay, let's just say because we got the CGI and the animations that we do now, what if we were to take some of the videos and make them a cartoon instead? What do you think of that? Would that be something you would consider? So, like, say, take one of your favorite videos from back in the day and make a cartoon version of it with today's technology. Would that be something you could do? That ain't a bad idea. Like, for example, let's say take one of those old Run DMC songs. Take You Be Illin' and make a cartoon version with Run and DMC going through the song. I think that'd be cool myself. Okay, Talking Heads. Yep. Another one. One of my favorite videos, Land of Confusion by Genesis. You know how they had the puppets and whatnot in that? What if you took that song and made a today version of that? So instead of the Ronald Reagan puppet, you had the Orange Clown and some of those people in the video. Or like the video for We Didn't Start the Fight. and we make a today version of We Didn't Start the Fire. Still have Billy Joel, but change the lyrics to fit what's going on today. That'd be a cool video. I'd like doing that one. H2 is saying yes. So yeah, it's all types of possibilities. And keep in mind, another reason why I thought about this subject, they're remaking all these shows, right? They're doing these reboots of all our favorite shows. Why not reboot some of these videos too? I don't see why not. Mariah Carey, Honey, and the Remix. Okay, yeah, I ain't mad at that. That's a good choice. Because hey, Mariah probably looked better now than she did then, truth be told. Yeah, they too old to be running. And remember, Jam Master Jay's no longer with us, so we can't do it with them per se, but we could do it with their cartoon versions. You know what I'm saying? And me myself, I would have to find some type of way to have Dave Chappelle in a video with Snoop Dogg. Why I want to put them two people, I don't know. It just seems like they would come up with a bomb ass video to do together, some kind of way, with either one of Snoop's old songs or hell, some new he come up with. I just see them two collaborating on a video, and it just be the bomb. And then of course you got the Cardi B videos where it's a couple of videos like remember the one she did where they did the In Living Color theme to the video. You could do something along those lines with some of the other shows. Remember Big Sean, he did the video that had the Martin theme in it, like the show Martin. That'll be cool. Okay, H2 is saying Fat Boys. Oh yeah, definitely would do some of those, and doing them as a cartoon, that would be awesome. That would sure be awesome. The All You Can Eat as a cartoon version of the song, I'd love to do that. So yeah, it's a lot of possibilities. You think up some more, it's cool. We'll play this game again sometime soon. But that being said, we about to shut it on down here. Get Off My Lawn Live. Thank you so much for listening and joining. But of course, before we go, let me take a swig and tell y'all about my other partners here in the Nighthawk Network, because I didn't come alone in this thing. We got other people here in our Nighthawk Network that's here on Facebook and YouTube, and a lot of them have their own YouTube pages that we will definitely have a promo for, so you can find them fully. But I will run it down for you guys as I run down the partners here in my network. We got Hey Bitches with host Helena Hologram, 9 p.m. It was a very good show last night. Had a few technical difficulties, but we worked them on out for you. And next week, Helena will be back with her guest. If you're there in the comments here, Helena, let them know who your guest is for next Monday. And of course, if you want to find previous episodes of Helena, I believe we're on episode 17 next week, Helena. Let us know that also. You want to find some of those older episodes, you can find them on YouTube under Helena Hologram. Look up Helena Hologram on YouTube to find those. We got Monumental Moments in God's Word with my cousin, Dr. Marla Facey. Very busy woman she is, but she takes time out of her busy schedule to do her show on Thursday nights, and we air it here on the Nighthawk Network. You can find her at Marla Facey on YouTube as well. You catch some of her back episodes. She's also on Spotify and several other platforms in audio form. You got Dish and T with Big Meech, Aunt Nikki, and Big Red. And keep in mind, they all got their own thing going on as well. Aunt Nikki got her productions. You got Big Red with his thing with Atlanta Hot Radio. You got Meech at his dishandT.com. They selling items and products. Please send me that promo, Meech, so we can air that for you for some of the fine items that you are selling on dishandT.com so people may know. We got them going on. They all have their own YouTube platforms as well. Big Red Fella for Big Red, Aunt Nikki 215 on YouTube, and Dish and T with Big Meech on YouTube as well to catch back episodes of some of their shows. You got Brother Stan Mason behind the blue curtain Saturday 11 a.m. You can also find him on YouTube under Stan Mason. Let's talk with Aunt Nikki again. You can find that Aunt Nikki 215. We got my cousin Elena Miller and her girl Letitia Williams Howard with the Girl Stop podcast, which is the audio podcast. Keep in mind, next week we'll be taking the week off from Get Off My Lawn Live. And when we come back, I plan on having her and Letitia on the show so they can tell you about the podcast and some of the fine work they're doing with it and in the community as well. Looking forward to that. Cousin, if you're seeing this, get in touch with me so we can hook that on up. We got Pastor Sean Love Presents doing his fine YouTube work. You can find him at Pastor Sean Love, or actually Sean Love. on YouTube. Look that up for a past episode. You also find all these shows on my Nighthawk Network information page as well. If you are a member, you know we're 155 strong and counting. If not, you can contact me to get that information and any other information I have not given you now on our all-new Gmail account, which is nighthnetwork313@gmail.com. Any comments, promotional ideas, anything, because we're doing promotional things for people, like some of those fine commercials you saw earlier. If you want us to do one and promote it on one of our shows, get in touch with me through this particular email, nighthawknetwork313@gmail.com. That's nighhtnetwork313@gmail.com. And finally, we have Israel's Room coming to you soon, along with the Gospel According to Pride and some of these other shows that we are developing here in the Nighthawk Network so that you can be entertained. So yes, Israel, I beat you to it this week. We ain't forgot about Israel's Room, okay? I'm letting people know. If you were tuning in Sunday to the special edition of Hey Bitches Remix, you saw that Israel was introduced to y'all. So hopefully you will be hearing from him soon on his own platform here on the Nighthawk Network. Okay, hold on. I like that, Eric. Yep, you got it. Sally DeMarco will be the guest next week on Helena's Hey Bitches. Sally DeMarco, she is a fashion, past and present seasons of 2, episode 2 at 9 p.m. Absolutely. We love Mr. Stan Show. Absolutely. Shout out to you, Stan Mason, and all the other fine people that are a part of his show. Miss LaRonda Young. We got our guy Antonio Tillman, Pastor Tillman. We got Chief Devlin that checks in. He's on the show. We got Izzy Rodriguez. He is also one of the people that do the show. So yeah, check all those guys out. Don't forget our guy Big Joe Mosley. He's also one of the co-hosts of the show. So please check his show out Saturday at 11 and all the other fan shows here on the Nighthawk Network. That being said, we're about to wrap it up, y'all. Again, thank you for joining in. Thank you for checking in. For those of you who check the replays, thank you guys as well. We appreciate you. We love you. Like I said, there will be no Get Off My Lawn next week. We'll probably air a past episode for you guys to check out about this time. But we will be back a week from that to do a new show for you. So until then, be safe. Remember, as our brother Stan Mason always says, life is not a Trump rally. Wear your mask. Do your thing to be safe, okay? And we will see you on the other side. Coming soon, Hologram Praise Radio on Nighthawk Network. And again, it's stuff going on. It be news to me. Thanks for letting me know, H2. We'll talk about that tomorrow, okay? And there's other stuff. We got my audio podcast. The network is constantly growing, okay? It's growing by the day. We are in 16 different states that I know of right now. We in 3 different countries, including Jamaica and Canada, and it's growing. We bringing more content. We bringing more guests. We bringing more shows. So be looking for it, man. We're coming on up, and because of that, it's because of you. We appreciate y'all. We love you. Okay, about to get up out of here. Until next time, like I said, be safe, y'all. Do y'all thing. Do what you got to do to keep it moving. Till next time, we is out. Love you. 2 fingers. And as soon as I find our outro here, haha, I'm stalling, y'all. Wait for it. Wait for it. More!